Just part of that, that's what I was using this side. Yeah. So when it starts loading and shows you more. I didn't have to see it like that. Use the late echo. Yeah. That's what I did. And so they went through everything. Okay. I've been around the world live now, and because it's off on Zoom, everyone can just that 360 degrees gets making as well. Yeah. Okay, so good to go. Good to go. All right, sir. You're welcome. You're welcome. You guys have a good day.
It changed.
One time I was like, until we there was an addendum and we had the and then it changed. All right, good morning, everybody. We're going to be called order. Approval of the agenda. One item. It wasn't a consider on the agenda. We tabled that contract for the workforce.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm fine with that. Table today or? Yeah. So that needs to show up on the next two budgets. Scott. Yes, correct.
Yes. Did you, has anybody sent those to whoever wrote that contract?
Right, and we'll have a new copy of it soon. Okay, so the changes got sent through? Yeah. I'll approve the agenda as provided.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Minutes of the November 18th board meeting.
I'll move to approve minutes.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing, chapter 43, construction and property maintenance code, second reading. Motion to open public hearing.
I'll make a motion to open.
Now, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any written or verbal comments? No written,
No.
any verbal comments?
No.
Motion to close public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close.
Now, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve the third reading.
I'll make a motion to waive the third reading of the.
And is that to approve the ordinance too, or is it just?
Yes.
Yeah. that would be-
Okay.
Motion to approve and waive the third reading.
Okay. I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Holiday dates for 2026. Well, concern was Christmas, it's on a Friday, so
I'm gonna make a motion to approve.
And I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Management department head safety responsibilities. Don, here. Don's not here, is he? We put this on the amendment, so I'm not even sure what it's for. We're on it.
I'm not sure either. And
I'm
I
not sure either.
was at the last meeting.
The only thing I can think is to see how much interest there would be to have Stacy come and present
Oh, yes, that's correct.
in February.
Yes.
I think that's right. Yeah. And we were gonna include some of the surrounding cities and counties if they wanted to come. That's what we were scheduling it for.
You know,
That's for IMWCA to come down and do the same present that they did in Washington.
I think our plan was to schedule it when we usually schedule the safety meeting at that time because the staff.
But they were gonna do it the February meeting. I think that's what Stacy had mentioned.
So February.
I guess any department heads here have any concerns or issues with that? I think not. We'll go ahead and plan for it. Need to do any action on that then, or is this feedback? I think at this point,
Just feedback.
Discussion.
Yeah. So I think we'll plan on that.
Okay.
Amendment to the employee handbook. talked to Fair Labor Standards Board, and we had to make a change in our handbook. Let's say comp time wasn't actually comp time, and they said we had to do time and a half, so we gotta get rid of that section. Because we already had flex time in our handbook, so delete the part about these employees can earn comp time at a rate of 1 hour for each hour worked, and in excess of 40 hours, this time will have no cash value upon separation from employment. Is what they advised to delete.
Did we get feedback from our attorney on that? Too, or is that just fairly understanding?
Fairly understanding.
Yeah. You think,
Because we just updated our
yes,
flex time, which is why that would make that obsolete.
do you think we need to have the attorney consider that, or probably not? But,
Yeah, I don't think so.
yeah, okay. I'll make a motion to approve the amendment.
And I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Renewable energy ordinance discussion. Brian?
And I'll start on this. We'd still like to make some progress on this. One option that has come up that I want to present today is the idea of pulling the solar and the battery storage out of the energy ordinance and dealing with it. One of the reasons for that is because we have some developers that are interested in the solar, and that solar development could result in some job creation and some other development in the county. So there's some interest in that happening. I'd rather see the whole ordinance get passed as it's presented, but that is an option to pull the solar and the battery out of it. Based on our discussion in the past, this is between you and I, Darren. I don't think we're in agreement on some of the big issues of the solar. So then when this goes back to Carrie, Carrie has an interest in pursuing that. And I think in Carrie's situation, you, Carrie, might want to go back to the county attorney and see where the conflict of interest plays out on this topic. And then we can go from there. So that's one of the options. And the other reason it's on here is just, do we want to do some more public hearings? Do we want to do some more investigation? What should we do on the whole concept of the energy ordinance? So that's kind of where I'm at on that topic.
Meeting with Mark Rowe and Hans Wills over this. There's another solar option that we would have to do something different than what's currently wrote out. So we definitely have to do some changes with what they're proposing for solar. It's a whole different concept. Correct, Mark? What's correct? So I think you had that discussion with you.
Right, but I'm not I discussed this with Mark Rowe, but I'm not sure I understand everything that you just said.
Yeah, I asked Hans to write something up,
Okay,
get it to us to go with that. I would also suggest that I spent 2.5 hours on the phone with attorney from Hopkins and Huber that was very lightning on a lot of the stuff in our proposal. And I asked him to get a hold of you and have you speak to him too, because it was a very worthwhile conversation.
I would certainly welcome that. And thanks for doing that. I appreciate that.
Like I said, I even asked him if he wanted to mediate if we both went up there, so he said that would be a possibility, but you have to think about it, so.
Well, I'd be very interested in that.
Anything else?
I guess,
If I may, what's being proposed on the solar?
Without jumping into it, I don't have all the details, but it's a whole different concept than an all glass 1,000-acre solar field.
Sure.
It's a 30-acre, it's not commercial, what's it called, Mark? What do you guys call it? It's basically so we can get
But there should be an ordinance in place to be able to do that anyway.
Yeah,
So the basic concept, I know Supervisor Batterson and I had this conversation a couple of weeks ago, and the conversation really wrapped around what solar fields could look like in Wapello County. And I know that Supervisor Batterson had said, he's not in favor of development of multi-100,000 acre sites. And the concept that really across the state of Iowa that is gaining a little bit of steam is those sites that are sub a couple of 100 acres and all the way down to 30-acre sites that would be called community solar projects, where there's co-op buy-in, things of that nature. So those are really the kind of sites that we're looking at the feasibility of, because those are, I mean, really there's not much land available that could do 2,000-acre sites anyway here. So, I mean, there's really, for Wapello County, there's not much point in talking about sites that big because those sites don't exist really anyway. So let's get down to something realistic and start talking about, what the parameters around that could look like. So that's the basic construct.
yeah. As Hans was saying, it'd be a 30-acre maximum. And basically, there are 4, not battery storage, but 4.
So the community solar
storage
projects that are currently being proposed within the state would offer a couple of advantages to a rural community like the city of Ottumwa or Wapello County, in the fact that we're struggling right now to have those substations installed from the utility providers because their infrastructure is out so far. It would require a huge investment from them that they're really not willing to take at the moment. These companies would come in and actually install those and put those substations in place as part of their operation. So it's kind of a win-win for the county, and the fact that we don't have to wait for future economic development because those partners are already providing that as part of the installation of the project to begin with.
And those projects would put into those substations would actually lower our bills, help us lower our bills instead of.
For future planning, yes, it would. And, there are obviously other benefits to that as well, such as we had mentioned this during the wind portion of the conversation, green energy offset credits to help incentivize business to come here, potential additional revenues to the city and the county. So there are a plethora of benefits, and there really aren't too many negatives to this unless you just hate glass. So I know one of the things that Supervisor Batterson brought up was the potential for some sort of ground contamination from broken glass. And from the research that I have done, there's no more significant potential for contamination to ground, to soil and groundwater than having a diesel generator sitting on the site. So.
Yeah, I don't know, it sounded pretty good what he was describing to me, so just gotta get it right in front of him so we can display it.
Yeah, and clearly, anything that could come in the future, there's going to be a development agreement attached to that as well. So
is the ordinance as it stands still an all-inclusive ordinance where the county is looking to bring in these renewable technologies to support, the growth of the county and the state?
Can you come up here? State your name and license.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Dennis Whitlow with Apex Clean Energy. Just curious as to where we stand with the ordinance as it relates to an all-inclusive, concept with reference to the technologies that we're looking to bring into the county.
We only have the one ordinance that we're already at work. It's all included, battery, solar, and wind is all in one. So.
Okay, that's great. So are we moving forward with that? And is there any reason to continue discussions?
Any reason to continue?
Yes.
Like you said?
Yeah.
We haven't a complete orders, we want to continue discussion, so.
Okay, my understanding is that these discussions have just been happening for a long time. And the longer that we wait, the more benefit we continue to lose.
Yeah, well, that's why he just heard me suggest that we use this attorney up there that he, wonderful insight. He does multiple turbines. I'd never talked to him before. His name was actually given to me by another attorney to talk to. And he presented a clear picture, way clearer than what I've ever seen on a lot of this stuff. So he was very insightful on every aspect of it. So
Is that the same attorney that Willie had sent to us several months ago?
I
Or
don't-
the same attorney's
I don't know.
office?
I just emailed up and asked him for which attorney does the green energy, and then he called me back a couple weeks later. I can't remember his name. Too many of them. I know he's not a hot because we're human.
So what's that one?
So,
Can anyone speak?
You just have to come
if
up
you want
with
to
it.
come up here.
Lane Euland. I guess I am also kind of confused. Where are we stuck with the ordinance? Just disagreements on how much or how many wind turbines you
Our
want?
basic disagreements on quantity and size and distance separation of participants and non-participants. So
Okay, because I've heard that we have an ordinance, but that we need to work on an ordinance. So are you changing one that currently is in place?
we don't have one, but.
There's not one. So you're writing an ordinance for that.
Correct.
We have a draft of an ordinance.
Do you have a time frame for when you want to get this thing voted on? Again, it has been dragging on for a long time. And I guess what I would like is just to have the supervisors on the record saying that you recognize that we need to move to clean energy, and that we recognize that coal plants are poisoning our water and our air, and that you're going to work on this seriously to try to get this passed so that we can move forward with solar and wind.
That's the process we're trying to work forward, but we gotta have some give and take, and we're not getting a whole lot of that. That's why I suggest we use as attorney as a mediator, so.
And there's no more specifics about what the disagreements are.
Well, if you, and all the other meetings, it's basically just what I told you, it's all setbacks, quantities, sizes.
Okay,
And that
so
is-
do you have a time frame? Are you willing to commit to try to get this done in the next couple of months, or what are you looking at?
I'd like to
Because,
have it done as soon as possible, but I can't give you a time frame because there's more elements to it than just that, so.
And just so you know, I agree with what Darren just said, that we have disagreement on those issues that he mentioned. And until we can come to some agreement, we can't proceed with an ordinance.
but you all agree that we need to move forward with clean energy sources.
Absolutely.
Can I get that commitment from all of you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Hi, Dennis Wolfwhite. First, if you have information that was enlightening, it would be nice if you would share that enlightening information with all of us instead of holding that to yourself, because perhaps that would help the entire community. I'm not exactly sure why you can't share that with Brian publicly, so that he can make a decision about contacting, further contact instead of you delegating him to do this. So is there
I don't
information,
think I delegated.
is there further information that you've been so enlightened on that you can share with us?
At this point, this information is not there. So until we get Brian and I can sit down and talk about it.
But it sounds like you learned a lot. You said you were enlightened, so can you not share that with us?
He walked me through the entire ordinance, things that he would change, look at differently, things that are great, things that are fine, things that aren't okay. There's a lot in there. It's
So you're not ready, you're not prepared to present
No.
that as a county, as an elected county official, you're not prepared to go into discussion with Brian and present the information that you have found in your research in order for these conversations to continue and for there to be a quick and timely solution to this conflict.
I think we just had that discussion where I asked if you wanted to be involved in this and go talk to the attorney. so he can get the same information firsthand. I'm not gonna give it to him secondhand. He needs to hear it from him.
I think it's concerning that you have information that you're not sharing with the public in terms of what you have learned and that you're not sharing with the county. I'd like to turn to Carrie. Carrie, you've participated in this discussion a couple of times here. You've indicated that this lawyer that has already been contacted in this process. And I know that you've recused yourself. I would still like to encourage you to reconsider that. You have two opinions. You were in Eddyville, and you presented to us that your attorney said that there was no conflict of interest, and you were participating in those discussions. You receive an opinion from Wapello County attorney, and you do an about face. That opinion does not require you to recuse yourself. It suggests that you might, but it does not require. You have not explained why you're recusing yourself.
I do have potential financial gain.
And so,
I do have a financial
as an
gain.
elected official, I don't because I don't understand, you just
Okay, you got 2
passed.
minutes, you're up, so. You haven't asked the question, you're just going round and round.
Why can you vote on employee handbooks when your husband works for the county?
I will not be voting on their contract. They are.
But you voted on this amendment. You
They
voted
have a
on,
specific union contract.
I would still encourage you to unrecuse yourself because you were elected to represent it. All you have to do is cancel your contract
You're
with
done.
Apex Energy,
You're done.
and you can,
You walk out the door or you're done. You had your 2 minutes.
those are both
You're done.
done.
With all due respect, sir, I think you have a great ordinance in front of you. I've been in a lot of counties, and I think that this ordinance will be a model ordinance for Southeast Iowa, the state of Iowa, and the rest of the United States. So you can get all the opinions that you want. But I believe that this ordinance is a great ordinance and will provide economic opportunity and put Ottumwa, Iowa back on the map. Thank you.
If I could follow up.
Go ahead,
with a couple
Brian.
things. Aaron, I really appreciate the information on that attorney. Was there any discussion about cost for the attorney to work with us on that?
No, we get 4 hours, 5 hours for free, so.
Okay. And so if we need to enter into an agreement, I'm certainly interested in pursuing that to continue that discussion.
Yeah.
And then, should we wait for that information, or should we schedule something in terms of the work session or a public meeting? Or should we
I would
schedule-
suggest that you just make contact with him and see what works
Okay, that's
for
fine.
you.
Okay,
That way, it wouldn't bother me if we had to both drive to Des Moines.
okay. And then before we leave the topic, I wanted to ask Carrie, do you have any interest in the solar topic as a separate ordinance?
What do you mean by interest? Like financial interest
No,
or?
pursuing it as a separate ordinance. Pursuing it as a separate ordinance.
I guess I would like more information that Mark has presented to you guys, because I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah, and I agree that needs to happen. And yet we can do that and then come back to that question. So, okay.
As soon as I get stuff from Hans, I'll get it on the agenda, so. we-
Yeah, I'd like to see what Hans has said too, and I can visit with him.
Darren, I got a couple questions for you
Yes.
regarding the solar part of it. I'm not as familiar, I guess, with solar as I am with the wind part because a lot of the time has been devoted to discussing that. Have you gotten any indication from, anybody that's an expert, I guess, in solar about what the cost benefit is for the county compared to what it would be if wind turbines were constructed here? Is it still the gradual increase of revenue over 7 years, the way it is for wind?
No,
Or
actually, the solar doesn't give anything to the county, just the individual that has them and the electric company, so we don't get any benefit from it,
okay, so
except for our initial fees.
you don't get any revenue at all from
No,
the solar
that's not
panel,
yearly revenue.
really? Okay, even if you TIF the area where the solar panels would
It
be.
would probably be different. We have to try it. Travis got something else to say, so. But yeah, the solar is more, seems like it's more new in the area.
Yeah.
Not as much going on with it.
So would that company then still have to go around to landowners to see if they'd be willing to sign a lease for a solar panel, or do they just construct
They
them?
basically do a similar thing. They sign a lease on the ground for, it's not as many years, but I think it's 20 years.
Okay,
So this Travis, Chief Deputy Assessor, Wapello County, just to kind of talk about the revenue portion of it as far as property taxes would go. My understanding with these more commercial projects, they are state assessed. So they're not locally assessed, they're state assessed. So the state puts a value on those, and then I believe there is some reimbursement from the state to the county for that, but like other state assessed properties, we really don't know what that reimbursement is. And I don't know if that's something that Kelly can enlighten you on as far as that goes. But as far as the ground that it's built on, it doesn't change anything that I'm aware of. The assessment, it's the assessment on that. And it is still taxed to the landowner, from my understanding, or assessed to the landowner. But the actual project itself, I believe, would be centrally assessed by the state. So.
Travis, could you do more research on that, or could you guide us on where we can find out a little better answer on that topic?
Sure, I can look into it and try and get a little more familiar with it to let you know for sure what I find.
Because so far what you said was what I thought was the case,
Mhm.
but I don't have a good idea on what the dollar amount is that comes back to the county.
Sure, and I'm not 100% sure either on, like with the wind, you know, it's that 7-year roll on. If it's a centrally assessed deal, I'm not sure if those are the same or apply, or if there's
It'll be
any
the same.
abatements or anything
Always
with it,
the
so.
normal tax.
Yeah, so I'll look into that and let you know.
Thank you.
Yep.
so do you know of any counties that have solar projects that would be like this, or?
Went and visited Lynn County in Palo Alto, right?
I believe so,
They
yeah.
have a 2,000 acre facility,
But that's not what you want here. You want smaller
right?
acre
Yeah, I mean, all you
facilities.
see there was glass, chimney, fence and gravel.
Mhm.
And they're the ones that said they don't get anything from it,
Yeah,
except for their initial fees, and normal taxes, so, because the
Yeah.
electric company keeps it all on the grid, and they pay the landowner for what, but that's between them, so.
Mhm.
There is a solar site in Creston.
In Creston, you said?
Yeah.
Is there a big one like that one?
Yeah. Thanks, Travis.
Creston has a 120 megawatt facility.
Nothing else, we'll go on to Mark Rowe and Go Pit. On the appointment of Go Pit for Wapello County social media page. For that discussion is also updated in the website.
Yeah, so looking, and this kind of ties back to the renewable energy ordinance discussion really as well. One of the consistent complaints that we've heard from citizenry is the ability to receive updates from an official capacity in Wapello County. And really, most municipal, aside from newspapers of record, most municipalities have moved to social media in some form or fashion to put out some of those updates. And that's someplace where Wapello County is sorely missing the mark at this point. So, you know, the item for consideration is, you know, how do we move forward and as a county establish that site? That way, it's possible for your department heads, for you, to be able to publish information in a little bit more timely manner that is a little bit more accessible to people in a manner in which they're used to receiving information, which in this case would be social media presence. These sites are not that difficult to put together. And as part of the broader context of the conversation, we talk about the website as well. The website can be linked to that social media page. I understand that there are some particular difficulties right now with the way that the website's designed, but you can have those two things linked together. So the social media page that would be developed could actually feed directly to the website. So you're only updating really one thing, which would be the social media site, and it's feeding directly to the website. So regardless of where they're going, they're getting up-to-date information on whatever it is that they're looking for.
And you mentioned you could have a page basically up and going in a day or two.
As far as the social media page, we could have it up and going and have administrators here on site probably within an hour. I mean, it's not that difficult to do. Now, training on the other hand is going to take a little bit of time for whoever is going to be doing the administration of it here at the courthouse. But as far as the page itself, getting it up and running is really of no event. It's really just you know, who's going to maintain it and you know, deciding internally, you know, what information are you wanting to put out there. And then obviously, you know, I know that there are some particular rules about allowing open commentary on the site because it is a governmental, it would become a governmental page. So, you know, there are freedom of speech rules that will apply to that. But you know, looking at one of the things that the city of Ottumwa did over the course of the last 10 years as an example, they were struggling for open information and they started really harnessing the strengths of the social media page. And while they still have their weaknesses, of course, it has helped tremendously of them getting information out for road closures, for public utility work, for just general information for the public. They're getting their agendas online so people know that they're there, having access to link their live meetings to an area where people know where it's located. So it's really helped with transparency for them. And I think that we could see the same benefit from the county level as well.
And you were talking, we could have links to agency, Eldon, Eddyville, Blacksburg, all this small towns, because they all have pages.
Yeah, absolutely.
And be like a calendar on there where we could have, you know, parade is gonna be an agency, and Corn Festival in Blacksburg, we have those dates on those calendars.
Right. I would, shameless plug here, I would still strongly encourage everybody to use the Meet Ottumwa calendar. That's kind of the centralized events calendar for Wapello County. So I would still encourage everybody to use that calendar.
Link on there to go to that.
If that's possible. That's easily done.
Is this something you're prepared to do internally, or do you contact?
Yeah, we can have it done. Like I said, it could be done relatively quickly. It's just a matter of you folks assigning who's going to be the administrator of it, because naturally, you know, GoPIP is not the center of where the information is coming from. So it doesn't make sense for us to be the administrator, but we can definitely get it up and running and at least push it out. That way people know it exists.
Are you talking about any costs to us for this?
No, it would just do it.
And you mentioned about, you mentioned also about the website.
Right, the website is a little bit different because I believe it's, I can't remember the name of the company that's doing it right now. but they would have to make the coding change to allow for the feed to be on the homepage for that. Should be a simple change for them though, just to make that one change. But I do think that it does lend to a broader conversation, not necessarily for this point in time, but it has been a long time since, and I don't even know the year, since Wapello County has went through any marketing and rebranding efforts. And I think that it's a good time to start considering that moving forward. I know, you know, there was a time here recently where we were trying to find a logo for Wapello County and we really struggled to do that because they just really don't exist. So there's no official branding for the county. And you know, as we're trying to start a process of marketing the county, it'd be really nice to have that available.
Do you have anybody in mind at the county that would be ideal for the connection for this?
Well, I would probably think that your auditor would be your best source, or Karen, one of the two. Whoever is the official disseminator of information.
And so far we tell Karen to do everything. So we should probably be a little protective of her time.
So, yeah, I would just, whoever's disseminating the most information, I think should probably be the person who's handling that.
Can we have a discussion with the auditor and then back to you? Is that?
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't expecting a decision today, and I just thought that it would be something worth your consideration.
I would make a motion to go ahead and do the county's social media page. We can appoint anybody at a time to direct it here, get it up and going.
I'm gonna second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And if somebody could get some information on the county website, I'd like to read a little revamping of that website as well.
The company that runs it now is called Neapolitan Labs.
There we go. Neapolitan Labs.
Neapolitan Labs. Brian McMillan.
And are they hard to work with, I hear? No?
No,
We've never had any issue. I update my page every once in a while. I don't have any issue.
he stops by our county conservation office twice a year. He goes over content that we are putting in.
And isn't he's from Atomo? I believe he's located in Des Moines now. Is that correct?
He's
That's
very
correct.
good.
He's always at ISAC.
Can you email me his contact information?
Carrie, he did present to us last December.
Yeah, I was at that meeting.
Yes, and so we have a connection there. And yeah, I think we postponed anything with that. We should continue that discussion with him.
Perfect, thank you.
Next on the agenda, selection of architect for the bank remodel. We start the process of selecting and hiring construction managers of this. We interviewed 3 architects over a couple of weeks there. One particularly stood out to me, my own opinion. I would make a motion to use Lydell, and he's the Insight.
In Washington.
He's from the city of Washington. He currently does Iowa City Hospitals architect. So.
And well, there's a motion. Can I discuss it first?
Yeah.
Do you want? Okay. I would certainly prefer the local architect that we interviewed, just because I would like to support local people and local businesses. And I would also propose that we not use a construction manager, because the concept here is this: if you have a bad architect, you need a construction manager. If you select a good architect, which all 3 of the ones that we interviewed, in my mind, could do the job, and they all are quality. And so therefore, I don't know that we need a construction manager. Construction management positions are more of interest when there's a larger project or a more complex project than what we're pursuing. So I view the construction manager as another layer that we don't really need to spend money on. So my proposal would be to do Ben Foote, who's the local architect. And therefore, I will not second your motion, Darren, and I will not vote yes for that.
Well, that's right.
I'm gonna second Darren's motion and go with Insight from Washington. And do the construction manager. It takes the county out of the risk of going over the cost.
Puts up any overages,
Overages.
any additions go on their bill, on ours. Which is the key to that. So we have a first and a second for Insight. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
Go out for the construction manager, who's gonna write that and do that.
He actually does that.
He will take care of
Yep. They'll write it up, show it to us, and then advertise it. Right of way service agreement. I see you walking. Right, check these servers, so.
Because this is for 172nd Avenue project. The new alignment to that roadway will require right of way for the strip of the ground, and it also kind of truncates an existing parcel in multiple pieces. So it becomes somewhat of a complicated acquisition process. And dealing with one property owner, it just will be a much cleaner, more transparent process if we have a consultant do the right-of-way acquisition process for us. You know, our staff is limited and really don't have enough staff to complete all the design work that we need to do. So taking this particular process away from internal operations and giving it to someone who deals with it on a daily basis is going to be a much more efficient approach. So
Yeah, we're already behind a little bit.
yes, yeah, we've been playing catch up since before we started. So anyway, I think you've all got the agreement. I was actually pleased with the fee structure that they had. Now there are, because of the complications with multiple parcels being created by the separation of property into multiple pieces, there may have to be some updates to the fee structure for the multiple parcels. They're looking at it as an overall, since we've been in with one property owner, but like I say, it's kind of complicated, but I think this is a good basic agreement to start from.
And they basically go to all the property owners, get the easements.
They will negotiate. We will create the documents that would outline the parcels required. And then, you know, the acquisition plat, if you will, that's something that I can certify on. And then they'll utilize those for the negotiating process and the appraisals.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion to go on.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Approval of expenditure of $10,000 from trust fund to clean up the trash ditch at Pearson Conservation Area. They were looking to put the pond there and they acquired the ground. The ditch is full of debris. You were on, now you're on.
Now I'm on. Yeah.
It's off now.
It's actually,
There you go.
Thank you. Yeah, when the county inherited the property, it actually was donated to them in 2007. There were several different ideas to utilize the property, which never came to fruition. Since I've been here, we talked about a pond out there to increase its recreational value, a walking trail and some other things. Anyway, unfortunately, there's a trash ditch out there from the previous owner that's fairly large. The board is thinking that the conservation board has approved it to dip into our trust fund, which is at 62,000, spend 10,000 of it. Hopefully that cleans it up and we don't find that there's more buried. We're trying to be proactive instead of having someone from the state down the road tell us that we have to get it cleaned up within 60 days. And so we're hoping this will take care of it. And then after this is done, then we'd like to develop a pond and apply for a fish habitat grant which is pay 90% of cost. to increase the recreational value of the area. But state code says that anything we spend on the trust fund has to be approved by supervisors, and that's why it's on the agenda.
I think you said you had a contractor in mind. Could you tell us?
It's the one we used to work on the pond behind our office. You remember Darren at the meeting? That's
Did the pond there behind the building?
Yeah.
Crane.
Yeah.
Crane dozing.
Crane dozing, just because we had existence with him, he seemed like he would be real good about what to do, and it's below the 20,000 threshold for the bid for the county. Because we're hoping we can stay at 10 and not anymore. We can solve our problem that way instead of taking, because we get into this, all right, you take bids, and is the guy gonna remove 20 more tons of dirt? Or he says, I don't need all that dirt, I don't have to move all that, I'm just moving 10 tons. So it becomes a big gray area to what somebody could say they need to get to the trash. This guy, we're hoping, will understand our dilemma of expenses and be good with us, because he worked on another project with us before he won the bid.
Do you recall if he's from Wapello County?
He's not.
He's not.
Yeah, I know who he is.
And
He'll do it.
that's fine. In this case, I'll let it go.
Just trying to move forward. That's what we gotta do, push a rock uphill all the time.
Motion to approve.
Is he the only bid you got?
The only guy we've talked to about doing it, because we've had a couple of ones out there on the site, and they're like, well, I don't know how much I can charge you, depends on what you get into, and this individual's like, I'll start with 10, and that's about a week's work, and then I'll let you know where we're at, and you can decide if you want to continue or pull it or start again later.
So you've only gotten one quote, nobody.
Well, the other ones we've talked to, they don't want to give me a quote. Well, we're not gonna bid on that because we don't know what
So
we're
you
really
have
getting.
talked to others.
Yeah, they're just like, we don't know what we're gonna get into, and we hate to bid on that and bid 10,000. And we find out that there's really $20,000 worth of work. They seem to be unsure. They're afraid of what could be there.
Just have no idea how much trash is buried.
I'll make the motion to proceed with the plan as presented.
I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
And approval of the Eddyville barn bid.
So we started on this process with the damage that was done back in April and working with the insurance company, and it took a little while to get actual cash value, replacement cash value agreement from the from the insurance agents, which we have now. They've actually just yesterday sent me 4 checks for 4 things that were damaged for actual cash value. Once the barn is done, I send them a picture of the bill. I send a picture of that and the amount of the bill, and then they give me replacement cost value, which would be a couple more checks. I reached out to 6 contractors to meet me up there. 4 of them said they thought that their workload in the future didn't allow them to take on another project. 2 of them did. You had those 2 bids. And that's the 2 that were willing to meet me in the last 4 months to look at the project. We're trying to keep it simple. We just want a cold storage building. We don't need insulation. We'll gravel it ourselves once it's up. We're trying to keep it as cheap as possible to fall within the guidelines of insurance, so it doesn't cost the county anything.
It'll be completely funded.
By insurance is supposed to, yeah. So, you know, the checks I'll deposit to the general fund with the treasurer, and then the budget got to be amended later on, but you guys should get the money for the cost of the project.
And the board approved the low bid, is that correct?
Yep.
And that's from Triple Star.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to authorize the trip to Mark bid.
And a second?
Those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for your time.
Personnel, request for payroll approval, new hire, food service, sheriff's department.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Request for payroll approval, new hire, correctional officer, sheriff's department.
I'll make a motion to approve.
And I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any other business? We have auditors cash drawer third quarter for fiscal year 24-25.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Auditors cash drawer fourth quarter report 24-25.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Auditors cash drawer fiscal year 24-25.
And I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
And the last, auditors cash drawer second quarter report 25-26.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any other business?
No.
I had a copy of a sample timesheet for you, but Andy took it to digitize it. So. Andy took it to make it in a digital. Oh, there it is. Yep, I was gonna give that to Brian, not you. You stole it.
Okay, I did.
Nothing else, motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.